In this short video, we're going to talk about informed parent consent and when parent consent is required. This video is part of a series intended to explain portions of the Alabama's Procedural Safeguards Special Education Rights. This video is not intended to replace reading the entire Procedural Safeguards document. Informed parent consent means the parent has been fully informed in the native language or other mode of communication of all information about the action for which the parent is giving consent. Examples of modes of communication include oral communication or speaking, sign language, and Braille. Informed parent consent means the parent understands and agrees in writing to that action, and the consent form describes that action and lists the records, if any, that will be released and to whom. Informed parent consent means the parent understands that granting consent is voluntary on the part of the parent, and the parent may withdraw consent at any time. If a parent revokes or withdraws informed consent after their child has begun receiving special education and related services, the parent must do so in writing. When is parent consent required? Parent consent is required before conducting an initial evaluation and providing special education and related services for the first time. Parent consent for an initial evaluation does not mean the parent also gives consent for the school to start providing special education and related services. The school must obtain informed consent from the parent before reevaluating the student for special education and related services unless the school can document reasonable steps were taken to obtain consent, or the parent did not respond to any requests. Can a parent withdraw consent after a special education evaluation has been completed and after special education services have been provided? Yes, the parent has the right to withdraw consent for an evaluation and provision of special education services at any time. If a parent revokes or withdraws consent after the student has begun receiving special education and related services, the parent must provide the request to revoke consent in writing. What happens when a parent withdraws consent? The school must provide the parent with a prior written notice describing the discontinuation of the evaluation or the termination of special education and related services. The school is no longer obligated and will stop providing special education and related services. There is no longer a requirement for the school to develop an IEP or hold an IEP meeting. Withdrawing consent does not undo or erase any action that occurred before the consent was canceled. The school will not amend and/or change any documentation in the student's educational record that indicates the student was a student with a disability or suspected of having a disability. Thanks for watching. This video is part of a series explaining portions of what is included in Alabama's Procedural Safeguards Special Education Rights. This video is not intended to replace reading Alabama's Procedural Safeguards Special Education Rights. For more information about Alabama's Procedural Safeguards Special Education Rights, visit alabamaachieves.org and search Procedural Safeguards.